Good morning, Huskies. It's time for the next Bailey's Weekly Student Update for Monday, February 16th. First, just want to remind you of a few important events. Remember that all month we are celebrating, and the U.S. is celebrating Black History Month. And also on Friday, the Media Club field trip to see The Giver at the IRT is coming up this Friday. I-STEP testing, a few things to keep in mind. It will be happening in the next couple of weeks. But it's really important that people do not flip out and get too nervous or stressed. One thing that's really important to me is that you guys relax and do your best. So first thing I want you to know is that no one, including you, including me, including your teachers, and no school is defined by a test score. All right, you're going to take a few tests this spring that are called I-STEP. The goal is just for you to do your best, and that's all that you can do. You've worked hard this year. Take your time, do your best. Your score can improve this year. So just because you maybe didn't do well, let's say you didn't pass it last year, you're an entirely different person this year than you were last year. You've worked hard. You've gone to your classes. You've worked with your teachers. And I believe in you and believe that you can do your best. Take your time and follow instructions. Eat a healthy breakfast, low in sugar, and get plenty of sleep at night. Those things can really help you because we'll be testing in the morning. So just a few things related to the schedule. First of all, it's still possible that the state, the Indiana Department of Education, and our state legislators will adjust the testing schedule in the next few weeks. So we haven't put it out there yet because it's still kind of in flux. We will let you know the schedule once it's finalized, and we will test the first part of the morning and then use a modified 2-hour delay schedule for all of your classes during testing days. So you'll come to school at a normal time. School will start right at 7:40. Breakfast will still be served like it always has been throughout the year. And then we'll have a couple hours where about an hour and a half to 2 hours where we'll focus on testing. That way you can get that out of the way first thing in the morning and do your best and be at your freshest as far as your mind and the way that you feel. And then we will go into a 2-hour delay schedule after that. So again, even though we're using a 2-hour delay schedule, you will still come to school at the regular time. But we will send all of that information out once we're able to finalize it, which, like I said, we have an idea of what it will be, but it's still possible that it will change this week or next week. One thing I want to do over the next few weeks is just kind of outline our Huskies Rock program and just kind of the behaviors and attitudes that we look for in our Huskies in order to rock. And so the first R stands for respect. And just a few things to keep in mind when it comes to respect. Listen thoughtfully to your friends, the peers that you work with, and adults. Be positive toward yourself and others. Be polite and help others when you can. Keep areas clean. Only use your items or ask for permission before someone or using something that belongs to others. So don't use it and then ask them later. If you need something, I have no doubt that the overwhelming majority of students in this building and staff members will let you use it and help you. Just don't take it first and ask later. Ask and then borrow. And then use kind language. Getting to know Mr. Bailey, and this fits in with our Black History Month kind of emphasis for the day. One thing I really enjoy doing during the spring and summer and fall is riding my bike. And I didn't get to do it much last year for a number of reasons, but I'm really looking forward this spring, once it starts warming again, to get out on my bike and ride. I like to ride, 10 to 20 miles a day would be great for me, just to relieve stress, get in better shape, and just enjoy the beautiful area in which we live. Marshall W. Major Taylor was his nickname, and just want to tell you a little bit about this guy. He's a Hoosier, so this is someone who he moved to Indiana when he was a younger man with his family to Indianapolis area and grew up here. He was given a bike by the family for whom his father was a coachman, and so he was given a bike by this family, and he just started riding it, performing tricks on it. But he later realized that this was a passion of his, and he was really good. By 1896, so about 10 years later, he unofficially broke 2 world track records for paced and unpaced 1-mile rides. And he was so good that in Indianapolis, and this was at the time of segregation, Indianapolis, the capital city track, banned him from competing because he was black, and they didn't like the fact that he was so good at what he did, and so they segregated the races and no longer allowed him to compete there. Then 2 years later, he broke 7 world records in his bike racing, and one of them was the 1 mile standing start race, which is where you are standing still when you start and then you ride 1 mile on your bike. He was able to do that in 1 minute and 41 seconds, and just a year later was able to do it in 1 minute and 19 seconds. That's pretty unbelievable on the bikes that they had back then, especially. And then in 1899, he became the second black world champion in a sport. And so there was a boxer who was the first world champion who was black in a sport, and Marshall Major Taylor was the second, and he's from Indiana. And a few things that happened recently. In 1982, the Major Taylor Velodrome was built, and really just kind of a sign of how far we've come in our segregation, in race relations, and just realizing some of the wrongs that we had committed as a society. The Major Taylor Velodrome, which is in Indianapolis, and you can still go to it and visit it. They have races there during the spring and summer. It was built in 1982, and it's the first building built with public money in Indianapolis that was named after a black man. And so a city that just about 100 years before had segregated black athletes from the sport and pretty much kicked them out of their league, then named the velodrome after Major Taylor. And the thought for today, Marshall Major Taylor said this. He said, "Life is too short for a man to hold bitterness in his heart." And his story is really powerful. I mean, obviously he was a successful rider, very good at what he did, but he endured a lot of hardship, wasn't allowed to stay in hotels, wasn't able to eat in different restaurants, and just even had been choked by riders, and just really endured quite a bit and still was able to be successful. And he ended up dying in his early 50s in Chicago, and didn't have a lot of money then, kind of fell on some hard times. But later on, a group of people found his unmarked grave and then buried him in a better part of the cemetery that was just more distinguished and recognized the great man that he was and gave him the attention that he deserved and that he earned over the course of his life by not only his accomplishments in athletics, but also the trailblazing that he did within overcoming all the challenges that were put in front of him because of his race. So let's continue to honor Black History Month. Next week will be our last week that we will highlight Black American or Hoosier in the daily or the weekly student updates. But continue to research and study. There are so many Hoosiers and Black Americans who contributed just significantly to who we are as a society and as a culture, and continue to focus and read and research and follow these rabbit trails, these people that you maybe drive by, this racetrack. Oh, who's Major Taylor? Well, research those and you will find amazingly inspiring stories that help us all become better humans. Take care and have a great week. Go Huskies.